SportsCenter, the Knicks Heat battle changes venue, going from war room to courtroom. But the saga continues tonight with a few faces among the missing.
I still won't be able to believe I'm not there until later on tonight.
He was missing for 4 weeks, but now Tiger is back in the hunt. The cup is still missing from Eric's trophy case, and there's a strong case he should start for Philly in Game 1. This former Flyer gave the Avalanche a big lift in their series opener, while the door seems to be opening for Cart's return to Indy. There's a new opening on the Marlins disabled list, and probably more on someone's detention list. Silver Charm tries to put his name on a very distinguished list. Hey, join us for SportsCenter. We never kiss and tell.
And welcome, sports fans. Kenny Mayne here. Larry Beil will be along later. He's serving a 30-minute suspension for taunting. And speaking of crime and punishment, Bob Lee is on this case.
Well, we waited all day for this one, for a decision from a federal judge on whether the NBA can enforce a rule that's been right there in black and white in the rule book for nearly 3 years. Wednesday's fight and the subsequent suspensions leaving the Knicks really feeling put upon. So they did what every other American does in that position. They sued. Tonight's Game 6 finds the Heat right now focused, and lawyers also on the clock. But the attempt to avoid NBA discipline failed. And tonight, the Knicks are indeed 2 starters light against the Miami Heat. Sal Paolantonio live at the Garden. Good evening, Sal.
Hi, Bob. About an hour ago, a U.S. District Court judge here in Lower Manhattan denied the Players Association request for a temporary restraining order and upheld the suspensions handed down by NBA Commissioner David Stern. So that means the Miami Heat will be without P.J. Brown, and the Knicks will be without Patrick Ewing, Allen Houston, and Charlie Ward. And this town, New York, has been consumed by what they perceive as the indignity of it all. Mayor Rudy Giuliani, defending the Knicks, got into a shouting match with a radio talk show host. And tonight, the Rangers begin a Stanley Cup series with the Flyers down in Philly. That series has been virtually ignored. On a day when the NBA playoffs overshadowed President Clinton's whitewater battles on the front page of the New York Times, and Knicks fans were universally outraged at the heavy suspensions handed down by the NBA, Pat Riley returned to Madison Square Garden a little coy, a little smug, and sounding as if he had the Knicks exactly where he wanted them.
If the Knicks need to see a doctor, I have a proctologist for them that they can go to. What happened the other night at the end of the game, it was 46 minutes of hard basketball that we played well. They didn't like it, obviously. They didn't like taking the hit. And for the last minute and a half, they went nuts.
The Knicks will be missing Ewing, Houston, and Ward, or 48% of their offense in this series. But the Heat will be without P.J. Brown, a key inside defender and spiritual leader.
I know they've lost some critical players, but there has not been a player in the playoffs that has brought us, from a defensive standpoint, a rebounding standpoint, a heart standpoint, all of that stuff. I need that. So whatever option it is, that player better bring the spirit of P.J. Brown.
It gives them a different look. I mean, he's really a valuable part of the basketball team, so we're going to try to exploit that.
The Knicks will have a different look, too. Larry Johnson will obviously play more low post, but without Ewing, who will take on Alonzo Mourning?
We have studied very hard what they have done just with Buck Williams and Oakley. I think John Wallace will play some. We have to be prepared for him. He's an offensive player. They only have 3 guards with Brooks and Childs and Starks, and so, we have to be aware and ready for anything.
You only had a day, so you're not going to make radical changes.
They're going to call the game tight, and hopefully we won't get ourselves in foul trouble, but, I'm sure they want to control the basketball game. We understand that we're shorthanded and we can't allow myself or Oakley to be sitting on the bench for extended periods of time. So, we're thinking about all those things, too, but we can't go out and play passive.
We're going to come in like Lawrence Taylor said, we'll come out like some wild dogs tonight.
Well, making matters even wilder tonight is the fact that John Starks, the man who was supposed to replace Allen Houston in the starting lineup, did not practice today. He complained of stomach cramps, went to see a doctor at a local hospital. The doctor cleared him, and I just talked to Starks as he arrived in the dressing room. He said he feels fine. It was something that he ate, and that he is expected to play. Whether he starts and what the starting lineup is, Jeff Van Gundy is not saying right now, Bob.
The other evening, Sal, in Miami, the Knicks had harsh words for the security or lack of security at Miami Arena. You talked about the emotion in that city. It's palpable. What about the security at the Garden tonight?
Well, walking into Madison Square Garden tonight, it looked like the 1976 Democratic Convention. There were enough police officers here for a presidential visit.
All right, Sal Paolantonio will check back with you later at Madison Square Garden. Kenny?
Unlike what's been created for Tiger Woods, no one's ever produced commercials where children say, "I'm Al Geiberger." Nevertheless, Woods, whose extraordinary skills make him stand out alone, was in position today to join Geiberger and Chip Beck in the exclusive club of 59 shooters. And here we go to the Byron Nelso Classic. Get in the hole! A little premature. It's just a tee shot on 2, but gives us time to look at Woods, start to get it going. Lays this thing 4 feet from the hole. He would birdie, moves to -7 for the tournament. And Tiger, second shot on par 4 third. This time he sticks it within 10 feet of the hole, and Tiger on a roll early in round 2 here. Birdied this again, moves to 8 under for the tournament. Tiger on 4, looking for birdie from 10 feet. Into the clown's mouth. Sinks it to move to 9 under. Tiger, second shot on par 4. In the man! Again within 10 feet of the hole. Tiger birdied holes 2 through 5 to move to -10 for this tournament. Tiger in the bunker now on the par 3 ninth. And then Tiger out of the bunker, works it. Chips out nicely to save par. Tiger -5 on the first 9, threatening a 59 for the round. It didn't work out, though. The par did on 18. Tiger shoots a 64 on the day, 12 under for the tournament. Doug Martin, get in the hole! This time it is appropriate. It's a hole-in-one on 17, a par 3, and Martin got it all. It rolls in, and then finally into the hole. Martin 8 under after 2 rounds. A good day for Tom Watson also. Third shot out of the bunker on the par 5 16th. Boinks it off the pin. He birdied it to go to -9. He bogeyed 17, came right back on 18, looking for 15 feet, and got it all. Watson tied for 5th at 9 under, 3 off the lead. Take me to your leaders. No 59 for Tiger. In fact, he had the second best score of the day. Mike Stanley, not pictured, came in with a 63. He is 1 shot back of the co-leaders, Woods and Rinker. As for the 59, it's only happened twice. Geiberger in 1977, Chip Beck in 1991, both on par 72 courses, unlike the par 70 that Woods played today. See round 3 on ABC Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, and more from us on this very tournament a bit later in the show.
Well, the Knicks were sweating out a federal judge today. Sean Kemp of the Sonics waited on Rod Thorne's gavel, while the Seattle Supersonics held on last night to tie the Western semifinal of 3 games each. Kemp was hoping his retaliation against Kevin Willis late in the third quarter would not earn him a suspension, and it did not. Kemp tonight has been fined $5,000 for last night's action, and Willis $10,000. If one picture is worth 1,000 words, then these pictures are evidently worth 15,000 words. Kemp, the hitter and the hittee last night. Second quarter, Willis with a hand in Sean Kemp's face. He would have to get treatment for his left eye on the bench. It began to swell. Later in the second quarter, Clyde Drexler reaches in from behind, gets him in the eye once again. Kemp again had to come out for treatment. But the incident late in the third quarter that really had Kemp worried today, as Willis throws an elbow, obviously, Kemp retaliates, obviously. Was that a punch? He was not ejected. George Karl, PG-13.
Kevin Willis is just, all he did was try to create a fight and disrupt the game with his elbows. And he used to be a good basketball player. All he's done now is turned into be just a dirty SOB out there on the court.
Last night's anger gave well to relief today. Kemp was not suspended, merely fined.
I didn't think he wanted to ruin this series by suspensions. I think this series has been too special, and I'm happy the league office coincided and felt it was just an altercation that should be handled by just fines, not by suspension.
If Kevin Willis is the enemy, Gary Payton is the savior of the moment for Seattle. Payton's defensive glove was the key in Game 5, and then he wins Game 6 with a shot he put up with his glove hand. Mark Schwartz covering this Western war.
His perimeter shots have not been falling. When he goes to the rim, fatigue and impatience have combined to deny him. But with 12 ticks left, the guy the Sonics wanted to preserve a lead that had shrunk from 22 to 2 was Gary Payton.
As soon as I got the ball, I knew I had to go and just attack it. As soon as I seen Charles switch on me, I just spent and I lost him, and I threw it up with my left and it went in.
Mario Elie was watching from the bench with 6 fouls. The man who has chased Payton around for 6 grueling games knew his team was in trouble when he saw Sadal Freet switched off, leaving the glove one-on-one against Barkley.
We should have never went to that. We just got to read the scouting report. It's a contact show, and we just got caught up on the switch. The guard needs to stay on Gary because Gary's a good player on breaking guys down and getting to the hole.
Tough matchup for Charles. I thought we have to play that a little bit better. We can't allow guys to get layups at that point in the game.
I saw it coming. He made that spin move, and it rattled around a little bit, but the glove got the roll, and it was a big shot, and you got to give him credit.
He's not only become one of the best players in the game, he's become one of the best fourth-quarter players in the game. And I'm sure glad it went in.
So for the 7th time in their last 8 do-or-die games, Seattle has escaped to live another day. But Houston's irrepressible spokesperson warns the Sonics, death is but hours away.
It's been a hell of a series. You got a very good team. We got a very good team. But we're going to win Saturday. And we are going to win Saturday. And that's pretty much all I got to say. I'm not answering any questions. We are going to win Saturday. That's it.
Well, we're going to win Saturday. We're going to win Saturday. And that's all I got to say.
Reporting from Seattle, I'm Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Sometimes this job is fun. Game 7 tomorrow, the Sonics in Houston. Rudy T has never won a series over the Sonics. Against the rest of humanity, he is 11-0. In fact, the Sonics have never lost a playoff series to Houston. Seattle is 5-0 all-time in the playoffs against Houston, and 3 of the 5 clinching games have gone to overtime.
The Cubs were home today feeling relatively high and mighty. With the win last night, they were out of the central basement for the first time all season. Something equally unusual in this afternoon's game was that San Diego pitcher Tim Worrell got the start just 2 days removed from his last start. The quick turnaround came about because he was tossed in inning number 2 Wednesday for conking the opposing pitcher. And here we go to Chicago. Jose Hernandez singles, lead off the third, then Ray Sanchez singles to keep it going, then Scott Service singles to keep it going. The next batter, the pitcher, Kevin Foster, he rips it to center field. 2 runs are coming in to score, and the Cubs were up by a count of 7-1. The batter, Brian McRae. Little squibber, not as far as the other ones. Will Cunane falling, and he can't get up, and it's a base hit. Next batter, Doug Glanville, single to left. 2 more runs are coming to score. Cubs up front, 9-1. Mark Grace is the next batter. He walks, and the bases are loaded. Then Sammy Sosa, the right center field, all the way to the wall. 3-run score. Sosa wants 3, and he's headed to third, and frankly, I haven't seen, is he safe? Yes. 12-1 Cubs. Still nobody out. Next batter, Ryan Sandberg grounds to the shortstop. Sosa scores. 13-1 Cubs, 8-run score in the 3rd inning. Ryan Sandberg, the only Cub not to score in that inning. And an 8-run 3rd inning for the Cubs, 16 runs total on 21 hits. The Cubs are a game and a half up on Cincinnati, continuing their escape from the cellar area. The Padres, counter-wise, have dropped 4 in a row and are last in the West. Marlins right fielder Gary Sheffield is on the 15-day DL because of an injury to his left thumb. He was hurt Tuesday diving for the ball in this play. The Marlins thought he'd only miss a game or 2, but the swelling and pain have not subsided. The Astros will play without center fielder Derek Beil, who has a hematoma in his left calf. That's a non-malignant tumor created by a mass of blood. Beil suffered the injury Tuesday, fouling off a pitch. Now, the name Luyendyk, Arie Luyendyk, is familiar enough. He won the 1990 Indy 500. He is on the pole for this year's race. But unless you've been paying close attention to the Indy Racing League, or unless your dentist is in the race, many of the names may be foreign to you, and I'm referring to the American names. Anyway, in advance of the 500, which does include dentist Jack Miller, the IRL appears to be opening the door to the big names of the kart series. That's the series whose drivers stayed away from the Indy 500 last year and this. Beginning next year, the rule that guarantees teams who race in the IRL 25 of the 33 Indy 500 spots will be thrown out. This doesn't mean the kart series regulars will come back to the 500 because the opposing racing leagues use vehicles with differing specifications.
In conjunction with the owners and Tony George and the Indianapolis Speedway, we're announcing that we will discontinue the current qualification program for 1998.
Kart always kept making such a big issue out. Now I just wonder what they're going to have to cry about now, because they come up with so much bogey stuff, it's unbelievable. But now they can come back here and try to make the race.
Well, I think it's a positive step. As I said earlier, I think it acknowledges that our teams are an important part of the Indy 500, and I would also acknowledge the Indy 500 is an important event. But I think also a sense of perspective needs to be maintained here, and I certainly wouldn't want any fans to be misled into believing that a resolution is imminent.
And as for this coming week, a week from tomorrow, the kart series will stage a race in St. Louis the day before the 81st running of the Indianapolis 500.
In Philadelphia, there's been more attention on the Flyers' choice of goalies than the hated opposition, the Rangers. The choice there, Ron Hextall's experience or Garth Snow's unconsciously hot hand. ESPN's Al Morganti reports that Snow will get the call tonight to start in Game 1. Flyer coach Terry Murray has not been holding his cards close to his vest. He has not even cut the deck, so loath is he to give the Rangers any chance to prepare. One of the stars of the center of that series is the focus of this evening's cover story, Eric Lindros. His name has always been preceded by the word potential, and now may be the time for promise to transform into reality.
You can sit there and say, well, you know, you've got a lot of years ahead of you. I'm dying to do it. I want the success. I want to have my name on the Stanley Cup.
Tonight, what's brought the league's next great start to this point and whether that's far enough to hoist the cup this year. Next up, we're heading for the Preakness, where these two horses are just 2/3 of the headlines on the final day before the race. And also tonight, more on what Tiger Woods was working on today, which at one juncture had the appearance of history. You're watching SportsCenter.
This is a Big Mac.
And this is a Big Mac My Size meal. Right now, one Big Mac is just 55 cents as part of a My Size meal. Buy any size fries, any size drink. Get a 55-cent Big Mac.
Large fries, small drink?
55-cent Big Mac.
Large fries, large drink.
55-cent Big Mac. Whatever size is right for you, one Big Mac is just 55 cents.
That's a Big Mac My Size meal.
This sesame seed is bigger than my head. This is my McDonald's.
Your 2 o'clock is here.
Mannequins. This guy better have mannequins. Last thing we need are more hangers.
Only Nextel digital cellular phones have direct connect.
Guys, a little problem. I need mannequins. Gotcha.
Mannequins.
Mannequins.
A two-way radio feature that lets you instantly talk to any or all of your coworkers with a push of a button.
Mannequins.
Get smart. Get Nextel, the national all-digital wireless network.
Welcome to sunny California. Man, if it wasn't raining, I'll be busting y'all up right now. Little crossover right to left. I'll hit you with the first step. I'll blow right by you.
Sometimes we just try to make you look good.
Stop like that. Oh, I think the sun coming out, too.
My name is Joseph. I drive this bus. I call this bus fun bus because we have a lot of fun in here. We have gold beer. My bus is also gold. This hot dog machine made specially for the snacks to make him more fat. Video, sometimes for X movies. They put the music very loud to make more fun, dancing, more happy. Everything we do here is happy.
Gold beer. Question for the best, baby.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Gold Premium Beer, proud sponsors of Holyfield Tyson 2.
Driven to deep center again. Edmonds one more time at the track to the wall. Carrasco has driven it hard to center field. Edmonds laid out and made a sensational diving catch.
Back up the middle. Ozzie, what a play! The force at second. Not able to turn it, but wow, what a play by Guillen.
Fly ball hit deep to left. Watch it. Will it be fair foul? Fair ball. It is a fair ball and a home run by Sweeney.
There hasn't been a Triple Crown winner since 1978. There hasn't even been an animal on the front end of the first two legs since Sunday's silence in 1989. So winning tomorrow's Preakness may be asking a lot of the Colt Silver Charm, who survived the run to the Kentucky Derby wire by a head and lost 2 races in a row, to the third-place finisher at Louisville. More on the Preakness now. We go to a couple of guys who get Daily Racing Form ink all over their hands on a weekly basis. Steve Cyphers and Hank Goldberg have tonight's In Focus.
To find a Preakness favorite, round up the usual suspects, the ones that swept the top 3 spots in the Kentucky Derby.
I think it'll be those same 3 horses from turning for home.
Start with Silver Charm. Trainer Bob Baffert's no less confident than he was in Kentucky, but he's hardly looking past the Preakness to the Belmont Stakes and a chance to become the first Triple Crown winner since 1978.
Hopefully we'll knock this one off. This will be the toughest bump in the road that we're going to have. If he can get through here, I think the 1.5 miles would be easier, you know what I mean?
Derby runner-up Captain Bodgett is the horse to beat, says Baffert. The captain returned home to Bowie, Maryland after leaving Kentucky, and he won't ship to Pimlico until race day. His trainer, Gary Capuano, hasn't looked for improvement in the last 2 weeks as much as he has stability.
It's just more of a maintenance. I mean, he's seemed to keep at this level that he's been at, you know, for the last month or so. So, you know, we're happy with him.
Trainer Paco Gonzalez is thrilled with Freehouse. Third in Kentucky, he's the training star in Maryland with impressive workouts, and he'll have a new jockey in Ken DeSormo. Gonzalez trained Mayne Minister to third-place finishes in each of the Triple Crown events 6 years ago, but he suggests Freehouse is better than Mayne Minister.
He tries so hard every time, but this horse got a lot of ability. You know, this horse can do it. You know, and I know it's going to be, I think Captain Bodgett, Freehouse, and Silver Charm, they're pretty big close horses. So I think it's going to be right there.
With me now is Hank Goldberg, and Hank, Gonzalez says the usual suspects ought to be there. Do you agree?
Yeah, I don't see how he's going to beat the top 2. He didn't in the Derby. Freehouse is a horse that I think the first 1/8 of the mile decides where he goes. If DeSormo tucks him inside, he's got a better shot. But the way the race sets up right now, Crypto 2 breaks on the outside. He'll be fighting for the lead with Concerto. Freehouse right there. Silver Charm just in behind him. And I think after a mile, the front runners will start to back up and Silver Charm will take over the race. The question is, will they run fast enough for Captain Bodgett to be able to catch Silver Charm this time?
Well, that kind of leads me up to the real question. Who wins? Give me the top 3 finishers.
It all depends on pace. I think the newcomer to the top 3 could be Touch Gold. They're pointing him towards the Belmont, actually. He's inexperienced, 2 races this year, only going 1 mile and a 16th. I don't think he has the seasoning to beat the other 2. I think it's a photo again. You pick it this time. Who you like?
I like a dead heat, then. I'll bet it that way.
No, you can't do that. You got to pick somebody. I'll take Captain Bodgett again.
Thank you. Finally. That's it from here. Now back to the studio.
All right, thanks, guys. Here's the lineup for Saturday's Preakness at 10 Horse Field. Jack at the Bank will pay large bank if it wins. So will Hoxie. Those 2 are coupled. Freehouse was the 3rd choice. Now on the early betting at Pimlico, 9-5 as the 2nd choice. Silver Charm was the favorite. It's now way up at 6-1, but that, of course, should change by post time on Saturday. And the favorite, as it stands right now, the runner-up at the Kentucky Derby, Captain Bodgett at 8-5.
In Focus is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil for a clean running engine.
Still ahead, the day on which Tiger Woods, not pictured, had the golf world holding its breath. Ah, there he is! He can disappear. He can do everything, can he? Next up, our cover story. This guy can do everything, and will he do it all this year? Come on back.
Professional football hits the ring when linebacker Kevin Green teams up with Rowdy Roddy Piper and Nature Boy Ric Flair against the NWOs Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Six. Former teammates, now bitter enemies. All-Pro Steve McMichael makes the ultimate challenge to the Green Bay Packers, Reggie White.
You made this personal. Do you want some of me? Reggie White! Me and you.
It's WCW Slamboree, Sunday, May 18th, live and only on pay-per-view.
For those who go the distance, the start is critical. That's why Exxon Superflow races to protect vital engine parts at the start when significant damage can occur. Superflow has a unique formula offering protection that's fast, protection that lasts.
Tonight on ESPN2, the Eastern Conference Finals kick off. Mike Richter looks to continue his hot streak as Wayne Gretzky and the resurgent Rangers skate into Philadelphia for their hard-hitting series opener with Eric Lindros, John LeClaire, and the high-scoring Legion of Doom. The Rangers take on the Flyers tonight at 7:30 as the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on ESPN2. If you don't have ESPN2, contact your cable operator or satellite provider.
When Quaker State sponsored Jeff Gordon finished first at the Daytona 500, maybe it was luck. And maybe when Quaker State teammate Terry Labonte came in second, it was just another good day at the track. But with Quaker State's Ricky Craven coming in third, you just have to wonder, is there something special in this team's blood or in their engines? Quaker State, the quality the Hendricks Racing Team demands, the quality your car deserves. Quaker State, a clean sweep at Daytona.
Well, the concern about the bad blood between Detroit and Colorado, they gave us a tight-taut playoff game last night. Larry Beil joins us.
Yeah, that was fun. Heading into Game 1 of the Colorado-Detroit series, there was the fear that it could turn into the unthinkable. It could turn ugly. It could turn into a Knicks Heat game. But cooler heads prevailed in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Actually, they weren't that cool. A transformer blew out just before game time, so McNichols Arena was about 15 degrees warmer than usual. Fire on ice. Game 1 in Denver last night. Claude Lemieux picking up where he left off last year, drilling Vladimir Konstantinov into the boards. Scotty Bowman saying, come on, somebody got to do something about that guy. 8:45 left in the first period, no score. Shot from the point. Patrick Roy, the save. Kurt Maltby wide open, but Sandis Ozolinsh knocks away the potential shot and goal there. Closing seconds of the first period. Peter Forsberg all alone. Shoots it wide and high. No score after one. Let's get physical. John Clem drilled by Konstantinov. Martin Lapointe slashing Forsberg in the back of the leg. Obvious, but no penalty called. Third period, still no score. Steve Yzerman to Lapointe, who feeds Brendan Shanahan. Bang, bang play. He shoots, he scores. 1-0 Wings. Avalanche come right back. Eric Lacroix fighting through the Sergei Fedorov check. Nice pass to Joe Sakic, who has time to measure the shot and flick it past Mike Vernon. We're tied at 1. Moments later, the Avalanche breaking in. Lemieux to Ricci, who scores. 2 on the final.
They got a great hockey team over there. Well, we realize that, and I think that's why there is a rivalry between the two teams. And you don't have to like one another, but you know, you should still have to respect the other team.
So the Lanch take Game 1. When Eric Lindros was a young kid playing hockey back in Canada, his idol was Mark Messier. That didn't stop even when Eric the Great made it to the Flyers. When he first arrived in the NHL, Lindros, we're told, carried around a Messier hockey card in his pocket. Safe to say he does not do that anymore. In his 5th year in the league now, Lindros is expected to do for his Flyers what Messier did for the Oilers and the Rangers, help them win a Stanley Cup. With Game 1 of the Rangers-Flyers series coming up tonight, we look at Lindros in tonight's cover story.
5 years ago, when Eric Lindros entered the National Hockey League, his broad shoulders carried the burden of the future. His own, the Flyers, and the game of hockey. All this before his 20th birthday. In 5 years, the young man has grown into a leader of men, a force in the game, a captain.
I've learned a lot. I'm still learning. And I think that's what's great about about life is, you know, every week it's something different that you got to handle in a different way, a little bit. You might have to be a little bit more delicate here and a little bit stronger here.
If you don't lead on the ice, you cannot lead in the locker room. So leadership is on the ice. You can come in the room and say whatever you want. If you don't do it out there, you're not being a leader.
Eric does a terrific job of setting the tempo of a game. You know, he's one of those players that can change a game by himself.
He's a guy who goes out there and leads by example. He'll go out there, he'll make the big hit, he'll fight the toughest guy, and then he'll score the biggest goal of the game.
Doing it all and getting it done are two very different things. Eric Lindros may not be completely defined until he leads his team to a Stanley Cup.
Eric is part of a team, and he will do his job to the best of his ability to help the club win a Stanley Cup. If it doesn't win a Stanley Cup, it's not going to be his fault. A team wins or a team loses.
You can sit there and say, well, you know, you've got a lot of years ahead of you. I'm dying to do it. I want the success. I want to have my name on the Stanley Cup.
people look at Lemieux, Gretzky now, they say, well, it took 6 years, 7 years.
Who cares how many years it took everybody this and that? You know, this is the best team I've ever played on. Our depth here is the strongest it's ever been in my 5 years in Philadelphia. And there might not be a better time.
Eric could play 10 or 15 years in this league and have it all from riches to success, but until he wins a Stanley Cup, you know, he's not going to be considered a winner, and he knows that, and he wants to win a Stanley Cup, and that's why I enjoy playing with a player like that.
As far as that, to give him the status of a superstar, I don't think that's his reasoning. I think it's just because he's playing the game the same reason all 600 other guys in the NHL are, and that's to win the Stanley Cup.
There is the big part missing, and that's the one thing. That's the one thing I want. That's the thing I want.
The Flyers and Rangers met 6 times in the regular season. Eric Lindros outscored his boyhood idol Mark Messier 3-1. The Rangers, though, went 3-2-1 against Philly this season. Last time they met in the playoffs 2 years ago, the Flyers swept New York 4-0. We're joined now by our hockey analyst, Darren Pang. Darren, the Rangers seem to have instantaneously remade themselves, going from a team that specializes in offense in the regular season to one in the postseason that really clamps down on defense. They did a job on New Jersey. Will Lindros get what he expects to see in this series from the Rangers?
Well, if he's going to expect the 35 shots on goal that they got and they averaged during the regular season against the New York Rangers, I think he'll be mistaken. They've changed their style somewhat, and I think led by their big guys. Guys like Messier and guys like Wayne Gretzky have really sold that system on to the other players, and that is you can't get 3 men caught in deep all the time and have odd man breaks going against you. So they've really made their style a little more disciplined, a little more passive than what it was in the regular season.
Speaking about styles, we know what Lindros brings, and in the last time they met, April the 7th, there were 2 incidents, one with Shane Churla, the other with Ulf Samuelsson. The Rangers feeling there were some cheap shots given out by Lindros, but the playoffs are not a time for retribution.
Definitely not. I mean, all players at this point, there's only 4 teams remaining. You have a chance to win. This isn't the time to settle personal differences, and it won't change. I thought the Philadelphia Flyers were a very composed team against the Buffalo Sabres, and obviously for the New York Rangers to beat Florida and a very disciplined New Jersey Devils club, you have to maintain your focus. Both teams have done that. I wouldn't expect any extracurricular activities happening in this series.
Right, because nobody wants to spend excess time in the penalty box. Meanwhile, you give a bunch of power play opportunities. Goodbye series. Now, last year, we saw the Panthers beat the Flyers in the playoffs. Superstars are supposed to carry their teams. What did Eric Lindros learn from that experience last year?
Well, he learned that he hates losing. I mean, every one of the players say, well, we learned a lot last year. We learned how to lose. We learned how to get through different situations. Eric says, I don't like losing, and I didn't learn anything from it. It wasn't good for us. As a team, it probably was good for the Philadelphia Flyers, and I think you've seen them pace themselves a little bit better now this year through the playoffs. And I think Eric in particular, he's a player that doesn't use all his energies for one big hit to maybe that he thinks is going to change the game around. I think he's made himself a 60-minute hockey player. He's relied upon a great deal for the Philadelphia Flyers, and he doesn't go out of his way, as he has in the past, and waste a whole lot of energy.
All right, Darren, enjoy the game.
Thanks, Larry.
Bob?
At the halfway point of SportsCenter, Friday's major stories involve 2 conflicts and 1 major star. The star, Tiger Woods, who today went out early at the Byron Nelson Classic and shot a 2nd straight 6-under 64 to take the halfway lead. He was 7-under through 11, on pace at that point to take a run at Al Geiberger's record round of 59. Indy 500 is going to drop its 2-year policy of reserving 25 spots in the grid for IRL teams. The change takes effect next year, a thaw in the war with CART. And tonight, a federal judge refusing to block the NBA suspensions of 2 Knicks for Game 6 against the Heat, so Patrick Ewing and Allen Houston will indeed be sitting down along with Charlie Ward. And the Knicks go for the clincher without those 2 starters who have accounted for darn near half of their offense against Miami this year. Sal Paolantonio live once again at the Garden. We heard earlier about John Starks and stomach problems today. What's the latest on John Starks, Sal?
Bob, a few minutes ago, John Starks came out to the floor here at Madison Square Garden, shot the ball a little bit. He was moving gingerly, but moving pretty well, and it was shooting the ball for about 15 or 20 minutes. Earlier in the day, I talked to him about 20 minutes ago, and he said that he had a little bit of a stomach problem. It was something he ate. He went to see a doctor at Beth Israel Hospital here in Manhattan. The doctor checked him out and said he was fine and was ready to play. He should have no problem. He is expected to start tonight for Allen Houston, but whether he's 100% is another story. This could be a game where we could see a lot of Scotty Brooks.
A lot of security at tonight's game, as we talked about earlier. A lot of emotion, especially involving Pat Riley. Vindictive personal comments back and forth. X and O at Forest now. P.J. Brown out this game and Game 7 if there is one. What will Riley do tonight?
That's a very good question, Bob, because he could go small with Dan Marley. Dan Marley, of course, can shoot the three. He might need some points. This should be a very defensive-minded basketball game. Or he could go big with Ike Austin. He's going to need a big body on Charles Oakley, who should, I mean, he's going to have to, Charles Oakley is going to have to carry the bulk of the inside power for the Knicks tonight. So Ike Austin would be probably the way to go for Pat Riley in that case.
Quick thought on the emotion. You were up in Purchase, New York yesterday. You saw the Knicks arrive. Nobody said a word going into practice. You spoke with Jeff Van Gundy after practice. The Knick state of mind, what is it?
Well, I think they're very defiant, very indignant. We talked about this a little bit about this yesterday. Coming into the practice, they look like a team under siege, but it's clear that team president Ernie Grunfeld and the head coach Jeff Van Gundy said to the players, listen, we are on our home turf. We have to defend it like it's our home turf. Let's go out there and play the kind of basketball that we're capable of playing, not the basketball that we played in Miami that saw us down by a whole bunch and have to fight and scratch back and then get into that melee.
Okay, for those just joining us tonight, the suspensions do stand. A federal judge refusing to stay that discipline by the NBA. Thanks, Sal. Kenny?
The Cubs just got out of last place and appear to be pretty serious about staying out. Some day game pictures coming up soon. And pictures of something not often seen. Steffi Graf in some big trouble on the court. Stay around.
Challenge me. Doubt me. Disrespect me. Tell me I'm older. Tell me I'm slower. Tell me I can no longer fly. I want you to.
Cool. Dole. D-O-L-E, dole. How to speak Australian. Locksmith. Beer. Foster's, Australian for beer.
Enterprise? Hi, I'm at the repair shop. I need to rent a car.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up,
This is great.
drive you to our place, and get you on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Her country, her tournament, not her day. Steffi Graf against Amanda Coetzer at the German Open. Graf on the near court, trying the drop shot. It did not work. She got aced, bageled, 6-love first set. Coetzer dominating this match. Match point second set, and Steffi with a double fault. 6-love, 6-1. Steffi Graf, a loser, did not win a game until late in the second set. 16 forehand errors and 4 double faults in the first set alone. This is what she normally does to other people. Coetzer will play Mary Pierce in one semifinal. Mary Jo Fernandez will take on Yana Novotná in another. Change genders and cities. Jim Courier against Marcelo Rios in the Italian Open. Rios in the near court. Passing him. Courier would hang tough, though, here in the near court in Rome. And he will send this match to a third set tiebreak, in which Rios tries the lob. There. Rios beating Courier 6-3, 3-6, and 7-6. Also, Goran Ivanisevic onto the semifinals. He is the 6th seed and the top one left in Rome. He'll take on Alex Corretja, who beat Moroccan Karim Alami.
All right, I promised pictures of the Cubs game. Picture the game in your mind's eye after these vivid descriptions. An 8-run third inning for the Cubs, 16 runs in total on 21 hits, a triple and a homer for Sammy Sosa for a career-high 6 RBI. The Padres have now dropped 4 in a row and 19 out of 25.
As an economist would say, assume a picture. Next up, what do you get when you cross the legends of golf with an NFL place kicker? We'll take a look.
American Movie Classics brings everyone who loves great movies closer to the legendary couples of classic Hollywood. Their eyes were eternally locked. And so were their hearts. And they were so in love, it hurt just to look at them. And you'll find them all on AMC. American Movie Classics, the original classic movie network.
This weekend, Tracy and Hepburn star in Desk Set.
The good news is pretty much everybody likes it.
It was a good idea.
Nobody loves it.
It just wasn't different enough.
Here we go again. Somebody in this huge semi nearly ran me up the road.
Because at the Chrysler Corporation, we believe that if a car or truck design doesn't make somebody a little nervous, what's the point?
That's cool.
It's how we do things at the Chrysler Corporation. It's how we build great cars and great trucks.
For years, ESPN has been working to improve sports for the fan.
With this new helmet, ESPN commentators can interview a batter while he's at the plate. Slugger Mickey Mantle demonstrates.
Hey, Mick. Can you hear us, Mick? Is this distracting?
Boycotted by players, the helmet did lead to a breakthrough in coverage for all sports. ESPN SportsZone. With Peter Gammon's baseball column, player profiles, everything you need to be a better fan. ESPN SportsZone. Technology for you.
We're back. And we are back with the LPGA, not just any LPGA tournament, the LPGA Championship, McDonald's Championship. Kari Webb finished in the top 10 in 8 of the 9 tournaments this year, but not doing so well in that. Missed the bogey, now on 16, the approach.
Air ball.
My bad.
Air ball.
Still on 16 now, looking for par. Newbie!
Ooh, it just hopped as soon as she hit it. That's an
Missed it.
unforced
Bogeyed
error.
5 straight holes. Take me to your leaders. Sherry Steinauer. She is the leader. She's at -3. That's 1 shot better than Lita Lindley. Lita Lindley, no career wins. Best finish tied for 3rd at the State Farm Rail Classic. So trying to win a big one in her first chance here. The seniors now. Actually, this is not a senior. This is Al Del Greco in the Cadillac NFL Golf Classic. And Del Greco gets it done. The ball lands 10 feet from the cup. Del Greco with birdie, the 15th. He was 2 over for the day. Now, Arnold Palmer, he is a senior, an active senior. 8-foot putt into the clown's mouth. Palmer, 76, 4 over. Mike McCullough for birdie on the 17th. Break into small discussion groups here. It's good. McCullough second behind George Archer. And there he is, Archer with a 32, 35, 67. He's 5 under. McCullough 4 shots back in the 2 spot. Now to the football players involved in this thing. Al Del Greco plus 274. He is the leader. Drop way down, you see Dave Craig plus 14, but still has a good proficiency rating in his NFL career. Del Greco outshot both Arnold Palmer and Lee Trevino today. Be watching for more of this event Saturday on ESPN 5:30 Eastern. Right now, be listening as we send it out to our man, Jeremy Schaap.
Brown, pigskin, or white and dimpled, Al Del Greco has a talent for placing balls where they belong. Friday, he joined a threesome with Lee Trevino and Arnold Palmer and beat both legends. What did Trevino and Palmer think of Del Greco's game?
Al has played a lot of golf. He's got a lot of finesse. He drives the ball well. He putts well. He's got a lot of savvy when it comes to playing golf.
Well, he's a good player. He could play just about anywhere. He handles it very well.
I didn't exactly play the same tees as them, but to post a score better than theirs was certainly a big thrill.
Del Greco's good, but will he be good enough to one day play on the senior tour?
Wouldn't surprise me if he couldn't do that. Yeah, because I watch his manner, his grip, his takeaway, his follow-through, his body movements. Everything's perfect. Yeah.
Give him any tips?
No. Hell no, he beat me. I shot 75, he shot 74. He should give me some tips.
I love playing with the big brown ball. That pays the bills, and I've been pretty good at that the last few years and having a lot of fun. If I could make a living hitting the little white ball, I'd quit the other one tomorrow.
Del Greco, an amateur legend, has 15 years to take his game to the professional level. He turns 50 in 2012, which should give Palmer and Trevino plenty of time to learn how to kick. In Clifton, New Jersey, Jeremy Schaap, ESPN.
Jeremy, thank you. You've seen the NBA fighting stories. Now to the infighting. Del Harris, Nick Van Exel, the Lakers story coming up.
Welcome to sunny California. Man, if it wasn't raining, I'll be busting y'all up right now. Little crossover right to left. You know, I hit you with the first step. I'll blow right by you.
Sometimes we just try to make you look good.
Stop like that. Oh, I think the sun coming out, too.
As a highlight of our franchisee meeting, we have our visionary, the co-founder of Pizza Hut, Mr. Frank Carmen.
Recently, the retired co-founder of Pizza Hut did something surprising. He bought a Papa John's franchise.
Sorry, guys. I found a better pizza.
Today, he owns over 40 restaurants.
Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
He's got it.
This does not constitute an endorsement of Papa John's by the Pizza Hut Corporation.
Looking for something to save? How about this? Save the money. It's National Car Rental Spring Saving Days. Just call 1-800-CAR-RENT now to lock in great spring rates. Save the money.
It's incredible. During our 40 million split fire celebration, you'll save $1 on every plug. Yes, $4 on 4, $6 on 6, $8 on 8. Save $1 on every split fire. It's incredible.
Practicing today for this weekend's final 2 qualifying sessions at the Brickyard, Johnny O'Connell lost it in the turn. He suffered a dislocation of the arch in his left foot. He will not be driving in the race. The car had already qualified. O'Connell was driving for A.J. Foyt because of the injury suffered last weekend by Scott Sharp.
On-court fights dominate Friday's news from the NBA, but that says nothing of the struggle in Los Angeles. The Lakers say Vice President Jerry West, Coach Del Harris, and guard Nick Van Exel had a pleasant enough meeting yesterday to resolve some obvious friction. But in the NBA beat, our man David Aldridge reports the trouble's not entirely past tense.
Jerry West says Del Harris will be back next season to coach the Lakers. West says he wants Nick Van Exel back too. But the war of wills between Harris and Van Exel must be resolved if the Lakers are going to avoid imploding in the playoffs every season. Harris tried to downplay his rift with Van Exel as the year went on, but in 2 straight postseasons now, with 2 vastly different teams, the feuding between the coach and his point guard has cost Los Angeles continuity at the worst possible times. Does anyone else see a connection between the explosion of player salaries and the sudden willingness of owners to give certain coaches whatever money and power they want over teams? It started in Miami, where Pat Riley is now, by relative standards, underpaid. But he makes no apologies for what he thinks today's coaches need and what owners want.
I think what maybe they're looking for is they're looking for an environment that they know might be disciplined, it might be organized, it's together, there's responsibility, accountability, and they're not going to let somebody that has signed a contract with that organization that makes a tremendous amount of money to do what they please. I mean, that isn't the way it works in society.
Don't be surprised if former Portland assistant coach Rick Carlisle is one of Larry Bird's first bench hires in Indiana. Also rumored to be on the short list is one of Bird's ex-teammates, Dennis Johnson, and current Nets assistant coach Don Casey, one of the top defensive teachers in the game. And one of the first things the Pacers hope to do is trade one of their big salaried forwards, Dale or Antonio Davis, in the hopes of getting a scoring small forward in return. Everyone is looking for some magic theory about the inconsistent officiating during the postseason that has driven Dennis Rodman, George Karl, Clyde Drexler, and others batty. The answer is actually quite simple. 2 of the league's premier crew chiefs, Mike Mathis and Jess Kersey, aren't working as they're suspended with pay as part of the ongoing IRS investigation into alleged tax evasion. Commissioner David Stern said recently that he'd be meeting with the referees union soon to modify the practice by which officials get their plane tickets, the source of the alleged evasions, to prevent recurrences. On the NBA Beat, I'm David Aldridge, ESPN.
Thanks, Dave. Still ahead. What layoff? Tiger Woods deeper into the red numbers in the federal budget. Mr. Woods, excellent day at the Byron Nelson coming up. And next up, we've got a star at the other end of his career, but playing as if he is in his prime. Will that be enough to carry the day for Wayne's guys against the Flyers? We'll see.
I'm Bobby the Brain Heenan. Dustin Rhodes, the American Dream. Larry Zbyszko. WCW's got a lot of problems right now. Too many guys selling their souls. How are you going to stop the NWO? We need a leader, like a Piper. Sting, Lex Luger, Diamond Dallas Station. Slamboree. Go get Hulk Hogan. Sooner or later, there has to be an ending.
It's WCW Slamboree. Sunday, May 18th. Live and only on pay-per-view.
It's hard to find words to describe what it feels like when you truly connect in life. Well, come to think of it, we can think of a couple. At Comcast, we've got everything from stuff that really touches you to things that help you get in touch from anywhere, faster than ever before. In fact, Comcast even connects in ways you might not expect from a cable company. Because if you're going to connect with us, the least we can do is connect with you. Comcast, everything you connect with.
Sunday night, Fred McGriff, also known as the Crime Dog. Biggest bet on a red-hot Atlanta lumber company. Cardinals-Braves, the Sunday night baseball game of the week. Sunday at 8, only on ESPN.
The seniors head into the Garden State, where top tour players pair up with NFL superstars. And Al Del Greco shoots for a 5th consecutive title. The Cadillac NFL Golf Classic. Coverage continues tomorrow at 5:30 on ESPN.
The Flyers have the game's star ascendant in Eric Lindros. The Rangers have the game's hottest goalie in Mike Richter. The Flyers' Legion of Doom line had an off series against the Sabres, while Wayne Gretzky is as smooth as ever for the Rangers. This is a series with two good teams separated by 90 miles of hard body checks. Dave Strader and Darren Pang. Check out tonight's Game 1.
At the start of the playoffs, Darren, there was some question who would start in goal for the Flyers. Do we have a question heading into Game 1 of the conference finals?
The only question is it hasn't been officially named, but Garth Snow is expected to start in this game, Game 1. Is it experience, or is it the play of Garth Snow that's going to change your mind? Ron Hextall obviously has the most amount of experience, but Garth Snow is playing some good hockey right now, even though he doesn't play Game 5. But it seems the distractions are outside the game. Inside the locker room, they seem to know exactly what's happening.
Well, the Flyers are confident with their goaltending, and Eric Lindros says they're confident against a hot Ranger goaltender.
We've got a lot of confidence, yes. We're not overconfident. We know that it's going to be a real extremely tough series, and you mentioned how many shots we've had during the year, and you look at what occurred in the last series with Mike Richter. You know, we're going to be having a tough time putting the puck in the net.
All right, Darren, on the Rangers side, they're both 36 years old. They have wonderful histories and records. Do Messier and Gretzky have another Stanley Cup run left in those bodies?
I don't think there's any question. There's still fire in the belly of these two 36-year-old leaders. And, of course, Mark Messier offensively hasn't really made his mark yet. So you would expect that there's going to be more from Mark Messier offensively. From Wayne Gretzky, he has exceeded all expectations. And he's combined with Issa Tikkanen with plays like this. I still marvel at how he sees the ice as well as he sees the ice. And he attracts so much attention. So even when the puck bounces off someone, he's right there all alone. And obviously, Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier's relationship goes an awful long way. It's hard to believe that you doubt them. With what happened this year, they still continue to play prominent roles.
10th playoff meeting all time between the Rangers and the Flyers. Let's send it back to our studios.
Thanks, guys. These two teams know each other so very well. A best-of-7 war of attrition. Game 1 on ESPN2 in 7 minutes. Right away in New York and in Philadelphia. You will see that game right here on ESPN. Subtle change of music. The Red Wings and Avalanche rejoin their battle tomorrow night. And that's right here. Epoxy your cable box. 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN.
At a certain age, it's notable to shoot a golf score under one's age. Tiger's too young for that, so he shot for a name, Geiberger.
Evening, folks.
Evening, officer.
It's time to move along.
Gee, I'd love to, but the car won't start.
This is General Motors' car?
Yes, sir.
Try the key. Like I said, it's time to move on.
Virtually every current GM vehicle can go up to 100,000 miles without a scheduled tune-up. The company you count on wherever life takes you. General Motors. People in motion.
Larry, an illegal smack tackle from a sock tackle. You've got the hot box for the rest of the game. What are your inner thoughts right now?
Joe ball's changing, man.
Suspensions for eye gouging. What's next? No biting.
That's no fun. Well, at least you still have Coors Light. That Rocky Mountain Refreshment is still the only beer that's frost brewed to really cool down a thirst.
Well, some things are still sacred. You remember Spindle Hendricks? Sure. I played half a season with broccoli ear.
No, I know that was cauliflower ear.
No, man, it was green.
That's right. Hey, kind of a shade of olive, if I remember correctly.
Here comes that psychic lady.
Okay, feel free to do your thing. When getting nowhere.
I think I saw that game too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's it possible that Tiger Woods could shoot back-to-back rounds of 64, then conclude he really wasn't that sharp on the course? It's scary. One person in the gallery at the Byron Nelson Classic put it best, asking, what's he going to do, win every week? Jimmy Roberts is on the Tigers' trail.
Just when we were ready to move on to the next story, the ascension of Paul Stankowski, the return of Tom Watson, or even of Dan Forsman, Tiger Woods refuses to let us.
I don't have my A game, but I'm playing smart. And don't forget, these greens aren't small, they're pretty big. And if you play conservative, you're gonna have 20-footers all day, and you can two-putt those all day long. And occasionally you might hit a good shot in there and make the putt. So, you know, realistically, shooting under par is really not that hard out here. More than anything, I'm just playing consistent. My bad shots really aren't that bad, but my good shots are pretty good. And that's the key to playing well. I'm playing smart.
Meanwhile, almost everybody else is playing catch-up. Once again.
Someone's always going to shoot a low number out here. Whether it's Tiger Woods or Greg Norman or Nick Price, there's always a great player out there that's playing well. So in order to have my job and play out on the PGA Tour, those are things that happen.
Early in the week, some scoffed at the question as to whether or not Tiger Woods could actually win every time he played. Now, that may still be a far-flung notion, but the fact remains. Halfway home, he is still at 12 under par, 128. And that is just 2 strokes off the all-time PGA Tour record for 36 holes. At the Byron Nelson Classic, I'm Jimmy Roberts, ESPN.
Thanks, Jimmy. As you can see, that 1-month layoff really hurt Tiger's game. Oh, it just devastated him, huh? Returning with back-to-back 64s. You add up his last 3 rounds at the Masters and the first 2 in the Byron, and Woods is a combined 28 under par over his last 5 rounds. Right after SportsCenter, the party that Dennis Rodman and David Stern have both been invited to. Orange hair optional. Karl Malone will be there too. Up close primetime with Roy Firestone in 3 minutes.
A player knows the game isn't about having the biggest driver or the smallest handicap. The game is about getting up at 5 on your day off, walking the course, and knowing that there are no shortcuts to a lower score. At Ben Hogan, we salute the players, because for us and them, the game always has and always will come first.
How to speak Australian. Remote control. Beer. Foster's, Australian for beer.
If you have a money-back guarantee, that means you're showing 100% confidence in your product. To me, that's awesome.
During our 40 million split fires celebration, you'll get the lowest split fire prices in history.
It's a big deal to me.
And that's guaranteed too.
That's awesome.
In Greenville, North Carolina, Mike and Lawrence really had a blast with bicycle vert champ, Mr. Dave Mira. Say hi to the folks, Dave. That's right, Dave. You're number 1. When it comes to riding the vert ramp, Dave really wails. He gets so high, you get the feeling he could have a salami sandwich while he's up there. But wipe out here, and your insides come out looking like a Twist-O-Flex watch band. Look, Mom, no spleen.
The X Games, coming in June.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Ben Hogan Clubs. Look for quality Ben Hogan clubs and accessories at a pro shop or golf retailer near you.
Braves baseball's best record. Cardinals trying to get on track. Defending divisional champions. Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Your Sunday night game of the week with your Sunday evening telecasters, John Miller and Joe Morgan. Jim Leland's homecoming with his Marlins on a 4-game win streak and a 2-1 lead now for the Marlins. Todd Dunaway with an RBI triple. Moises Alou with a sac fly. The Astros begin a 4-game series at the Vet. 7-0. The Astros on top. Craig Biggio, the pride of Seton Hall, with his 100th career home run. Friday's headlines, he's back and as remarkable as ever. Tiger Woods, a second straight round of 64, tied for the lead halfway through the Byron Nelson Classic. The Indy 500 drops the 2-year rule, guaranteeing 25 grid spots to the IRL spots. In the suspension stand, the Knicks are down. Patrick Ewing and Allen Houston. John Starks with stomach problems, though he will be starting. We are out of here. Knicks SportsCenter 11 Eastern with Stu and Rich. For Larry Beil, I'm Bob Lee. Your turn.
Yes, you are. Roy Firestone up close is next, except for the citizens of New York and Philly. You got hockey.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.